what's going on, guys? It's SFU, and I'm gonna just real quick bring you another tutorial. This one is going to be for the Discord vehicle restrictions or the Discord whitelist, where you can assign, assign as many vehicles as you'd like to an individual role, and anybody who does not have the role will be restricted from driving that certain vehicle. This is good for, say, personal vehicles where you want it to be locked to a person's custom role that they either got on the Discord or whatever. It's completely up to you how you run it, of course, because everybody's server is different. But in this tutorial, I'm just going to use the basic stuff that I already had, which was the roles from my Discord API. But before we get started with all that, we're going to actually download the script. So the way you're going to do that is by going to the Badger doc store, and you're actually going to scroll to the FiveM Discord scripts, and it's at the bottom. It's not going to be this first one, Discord vehicle restrict, because if you actually scroll up, it says this is the old one right here. So you can use the old one if you'd like to. We're not going to use the old one in this script because the new one works better and is actually more functional based on what we're going to use it for. So we are going to scroll all the way to the bottom like normal, and for the download you can either click over here or to copy the link, or you can just click here, and we brings us right to the GitHub and code, and download as a zip like normal. I don't know why it says there's two of them there. Interesting. And you can go ahead and just put it wherever you're going to use it. So I'm going to have mine on my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and open it like normal, drag it to the desktop, and pull it back down. Get rid of the zip because we don't need that anymore. We're going to rename it like we normally would. And in here, I just have to make sure that I get rid of the main and any dashes. All right. And we're going to open up our server files. Let me just go ahead and move this over here so that it's not a pain. And we're going to go ahead and open up our server files, go into our resources, Discord, and oh, looks like I already have it here. So we're going to get rid of it and start fresh. So we're going to pull our vehicle restrictions in here. And as normal, we're just going to go ahead and get rid of the license and the README and go to the config. Now, of course, anything that's in that README you can find on the GitHub. That's essentially all it is. It's listed right underneath what the files are. So here, there's only a couple things really that you have to be, I guess, concerned about. And those things are the role names, inheritance, and just really what cars you want to be either, I guess, whitelisted or blacklisted, depending on what you're using it for. So in here, you can enable inheritance mode, and inheritance mode essentially means that a specific role can have access to other roles' access without directly giving them the cars, like in their own role. So let's say I set this to role 1, and I want role 1 to have baller 4 or baller 1 through 4, which is just regular 2 and 3 and 4. And then I also want role 5 to have access to that, but I don't need to give role 5 every single one of these vehicles again, because that's just wasting time and effort for no reason. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my inheritance, and I'm actually going to set it so that role 5 inherits role 1, and I can actually just go ahead and get rid of the rest of these right here, just like that. And now role 5 will inherit everything that role 1 gets. And this works with every other role that you can use. So you can just do this over and over again. But I'm actually going to set this to false and keep it false because I don't need it here. So it's completely up to you. If you are going to use it, make sure you set it to true like it says here. It's required to be true in order for it to work. But really quick, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to make 5 sections, because I'm going to set this up as if I were using all 5 of my roles, which is role 1, role 2, role 3, 4, and 5. So the way I had it, and remember here, guys, is role name 2, 3, 4, right? So that role name is referring to the role nickname that I was talking about in my last video, or the first video in the series, which was the dictionary. Essentially, anything that you put as the role nickname in the Discord API can be used here, or you can use the ID of the role directly. It's completely up to you. I'm personally going to use the nickname of the role that I set, which was role 1 through 5, but it's completely up to you on what you want to use here. So I'm going to go ahead and set mine. So I have role 1, role 2, role 3, role 4, oops, and role 5. Roll 5. All right, cool. And in here, we're going to just go ahead, make sure you have commas on every one except for the last one, just so that it signifies that it is ending this strain of this config here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a new line, and it will automatically format it for me. Depending on what editor you're using, it might not, but for me at least it does. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to put parentheses, and or sorry, not parentheses, quotes. I'm going to put quotes, and for me it automatically puts my cursor or my text thing in the middle, but it might not do that for you. So if it doesn't do that for you, make sure you have two quotes and a comma on the outside, and that you're typing inside of the quotes. And what I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to lock, let's say I want all of the default police vehicles locked to role 1. So I'm going to lock police 1. Or actually, I'm just going to lock police, for example. So let's say I want police 1 locked, or sorry, police locked to role 1. And I'm going to actually go into my Discord and get rid of all of my roles really quick. So now I will have access to 0 roles, or 0 vehicles based on how my Discord is. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and give myself role 1, which will give myself access to this police vehicle, or I could take it away based on, if you want the permissions or not. For this example though, I'm actually going to take it for myself and give myself access to 2, 3, 4, and 5, just so that you can see the difference and see how it actually does blacklist the vehicles when I go to show you the example. So we have police blacklisted to role 1, and then as it was explained in the example, and now you're actually going to only use a comma if you intend to use more vehicles afterwards. So the end or the last vehicle in your certain role should not have a comma after it. So I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that comma because that's the only vehicle I'm going to blacklist to role 1. So for role 2, I'm going to put, let's say I want Riot to be given to role 2. And then for role 3, I want role 3 to have access to Baller. And then role 4, access to Hydra. And role 5 will have access to, let's say, Bus. Actually, no. Let's say ambulance. Okay, so here we have 5 different vehicles for 5 different roles. So by giving myself each of those roles, I will have access to all of these, or I could just simply inherit every single one of the permissions. But again, I'm not going to do that in this video because that's not what I'm intending to show you guys here. So basically you can assign any role here. Another thing I could do is, if I'm not comfortable using those role nicknames, I can simply right click, copy ID, and paste the ID. So that was role 2. So I can paste the ID of role 2 here and simply identify it out here that is role 2. That is something else that you can do that's completely up to you and the way that you want to do it. But that's not the way I'm going to do it just for the example of this tutorial. So I'm going to keep it role 2 like it is there. So everything seems to be set up correctly, and what I'm going to do here is just make sure that it's saved, and I'm going to exit out here, and it's actually already in here. Now the only thing I have to go back and do is go to my server CFG and make sure that I ensure Discord vehicle restrictions. And I believe it's restrictions. We're just going to go ahead and double check. Again, if you're ever confused, make sure you double check it by just renaming it, copying the name, and then coming back, double clicking and pasting it, and just making sure that it's spelled correctly so that you have no issues whatsoever when you go to start up your server. Now I'm going to go ahead and actually start my server here, and as you'll see when I start the server and go to my live console, you'll see that all of my scripts start without issue. So here we have the API starting without an issue. Here is the vehicle restriction starting without an issue, and the ACE-perm starting without an issue. Now, I purposely took away my first role and only have 2, 3, 4, and 5. And this is so that I will not have access to the vehicle called police. So I'm going to go ahead and start up FiveM real quick, and I will be back as soon as it's done loading. Alright guys, now that we are finally in game, I can show you that if I open up my V menu or whatever menu you're using to spawn in cars, that if I go to spawn in the police vehicle, it will actually restrict the vehicle model because I do not have access to role 1 permissions. But if I go ahead and spawn in the riot, it will allow me to have it, as well as the baller and the Hydra. And of course, this is all due to the fact that I gave myself the permissions previously. Now, that is pretty much all there is to this script. Nothing really changes after that. Once you know anything about, or once you know pretty much how to do that, this script is easy. You can just add as many vehicles or take as many vehicles out as you need. If you have any questions about this script, this is probably one of the easier ones, so if you do happen to have any questions about this script, make sure to leave them down in the comment section below. I'll definitely be checking those out. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're interested and you need to see more videos about Badger scripts. Make sure to follow this series. It's the Badger series that I'm doing. And yeah, that's pretty much the end of the video. Peace, guys. We're going.